co-founders of Moms for Housing.
Use them closer, the little, maybe we have to turn it up.
Okay. Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna have to try to talk into this thing. So Moms for Housing, our mission was always to reclaim vacant homes owned by speculators back into the hands of the community. This was always our mission. We're a group of moms who have organized in Oakland for a long time. I know I've organized since I was a teenager, and I went to college in Mississippi. And upon returning home in April, I came home and there was no sense of community. Like, I'm from East Oakland, born and raised. I came back to my block and nobody was there. It looked different. And when you think about coming home, you think about seeing folks have gotten older, like some of my friends. I'm like, okay, well, I have kids, maybe they have kids. We can bond, we can rebuild our friendships. And everybody's in Vallejo, everybody's in Stockton, Antioch, Modesto, but they're still commuting here for work. And either we're displaced out far, like an hour and a half away, or we're out on the streets. And when I came home to that changed the whole course of what I wanted to do in my life. I wanted to study medicine, I wanted to do those type of things, but this is a health crisis for our people in Oakland, sleeping out on the streets. Folks are dying every day. And I was homeless. I came home, I was homeless with my 2 small children. I'm organizing every single day. I work for ACE, and it's a tenants' rights organization, so I'm fighting for tenant rights, and I'm homeless, and the folks I'm talking to, they're homeless too. So it seemed like we were a little bit too late. So the moms, we got together and we formed Moms for Housing, and on November 18th, we occupied a home on Magnolia Street to bring awareness to the speculation. These companies like Wedgwood, who own the house on Magnolia Street, they're displacement machines. They're composed of 5 different companies, and they all play a hand in the mass displacement of our people. And we wanted to highlight that. And I know some of our criticisms were, oh, it's criminal what you did, and we're all stolen land. We're all stolen land here. So when we talk about criminal acts, let's talk about that. And let's talk about our people. 4,000 to 6,000 folks sleeping on the street, that should be criminal. Finding shelter for your children is not the criminal act. And companies like Wedgwood, they're criminals. They hoard homes. They buy hundreds of homes a month, and they hoard them just for profit. So this is a movement. Moms for Housing has started a movement. It's catching fire. It's a grassroots movement, but we want to change policy before it gets to that point where you're on the street. And we want the U.S. To recognize housing as a human right. The United Nations has recognized housing as a human right, and we need the United States to do the same thing. So it won't be a matter of you being homeless, because if you put out, you can sue because you have a right to housing. Our basic needs and basic rights are being commodified. If we don't stop it here, we're gonna have to pay for air, we're gonna have to pay for all of our basic needs. And we just wanted to highlight that, and we're gonna keep fighting, we're gonna keep uplifting housing as a human right wherever we are. And it was just a trip for people to ask like about the support, and it was just so amazing to see our community have our back. But it just lets us know that this is everyone's fight, and this is resonating with everyone, because it's all for greed, and it doesn't matter your education. They tell you to go to college. I did that. I got a degree. I did all of those things that they tell you to do. We went through all of the moms. We went through the 2-in-1 programs that are set up in Oakland for moms to be able to have shelter for their children. They gave us the runaround. And I know that even being in those offices, they had us waiting for like 3 hours. Like, you're waiting for 3 hours, you need services. It's very discouraging for folks that need help to seek help in this system here. So there's a lot of things that have to change in Oakland, but it's gonna take all of us to come together to change those things. And we saw the power of the people, because when we first started, nobody was reaching out to us. Like, yeah, we had media coverage, but when this got national, pressure bust pipes. Because our city officials, we had 3 council members that came out in full support from the beginning, but even the council member whose district the house stood in has remained silent. And now our mayor, our governor coming out, everybody is coming out in support of Moms for Housing, but we sent letters months ago. But we just, we know that that's what it's gonna take to change things. We're gonna have to come together and we're gonna have to put pressure on our elected officials, our community leaders, all of those, and we're gonna have to come together and change this thing ourselves, because we see that unless we do that ourselves, they're gonna keep riding by encampments and keep stepping over us on the streets unless we come together and change this thing.
All right.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for having us. I'm Misty, one of the co-founders of Moms for Housing. I just want to thank you all for having us. I think this campaign, this movement, and while we're in the movement and the eyes is on Oakland right now because of this movement, we got the power of the people to make change, but we have to do that together. So we all have to be able to run these polls. We have to be able to pass this word along to one another so that we can make change. We, like she said, this movement started because we went through a lot. And it's really hard when you're going through a lot as students, being able to focus on your schoolwork, trying to provide an education and something for yourself, for your future, for you to provide for your children, if you decide to do that. But in the current moment, while we're going through poverty and having all of these changes going on amongst us, it's really hard to tell somebody to focus on that. So we're losing a lot of people during the process of this homeless crisis. I just wanted to talk about how important it is for us to vote. Yeah. It's important, and like Mike said, not just the big votes. Our local votes are important because that's what's controlling our city. We have to get out to the local votes to really make an impact on what's happening here. We can no longer sit around and have these officials sit and not do their jobs. We got to start holding them accountable. The reason why we're going through all of this is because they're sitting there. They're letting this happen. This is all by design. This is a part of their plan. This is what most of them were paid to do. But we can change that narrative. We can flip it around on them and use what they thought was working against us, against them.
Come on now.
Like, let's go out and take these seats. We got 5 of them open up. We got these things. I went in as a write-in candidate for West Oakland for the District 3 school board because I seen what they was doing in my West Oakland schools. I'm born and raised here. I'm gonna tell y'all my age because he made a joke, but yeah. I'm 40 years old and I don't look like what I've been through. I was a victim of a violent crime, shot 3 times with an AK-47 in these streets. I bled on these streets. I do community work here. This is my city. They don't run nothing. So when we talk about voting and why is it so important, because our children do hold the future. The elders look up to us to start holding this. Our ancestors did work. They fought, they died for us to have the right to vote. And that showed change. If you pay attention to the history, it showed how they made that change and how it worked for us. But we got to start bringing that back. We got to change the narrative of what they got us thinking, that our vote doesn't matter, that it's going to keep on happening. It's only going to keep happening if we sit back and don't do anything. I hear these kids like, oh my God, like you so famous, and I'm like, baby, this is only the beginning. It's a long road ahead because we're taking on a system. Come on, man. going. You're living off of your own dream. I don't know when the last time I had a dream where I closed my eyes. I dream when I'm walking because I was so glad that I survived where I had been, that I didn't want to go back to, and I didn't want to be a victim of what I've been through. And that's the reason why I stay moving forward. But to be here today and to share this panel with all of these people who gave you an insight on how this capitalism is all working hand in hand, one by one. It's all starting with the school to prison pipeline, like he's saying, with the capitalism about the voting, about the housing. It's all a part of it. But if we don't stand up and we start speaking about it now, we're all going to be a victim of this.
There you go.
Everybody is one paycheck away from being homeless if you're not now. You're living with a family member. You're living with a friend, whether you're on a couch, whether you're renting a room, you're homeless. We want to own homes. We want to be comfortable. We don't want to have to be under stipulations. You can't have somebody that's breaking up families. You got black families choosing, I don't want to lose my Section 8 while you're here.
Yes.
So you gotta go.
Yes.
So that's another homeless person in the streets.
Yes.
But people not looking at that. We have to make real decisions on how the system is making us behave. We can't keep blaming one another. It's time to put the egos down. It's time for us to start sticking together. It's time for us to really start voting, passing on this information. We're not harvesting it. Moms for Housing is going to be at everything. Woo. We serving notice to every angle in this city because we've had enough. We've had enough. We're mothers. We don't want our kids to have to go through this. And it's not about the materialistic things. It's about just living and having life. That breath when you're able to breathe and just rest after you got off a day's work. Not feeling like you're drained and you gotta just go work the next day. You're like a machine. We don't want to be machines. We want to be human beings. And we want to be treated ourselves.
All right, about our city being apolitical, these moms help kick that shit off. Oh, that's not academic language. Oops. Here is a space where academia and our political understanding come together. And this is the connection around the election stuff. So, Kim, I don't know if you had some key questions. First of all, can any of the students, if there's questions, I know there was, what happens is there's number of students coming in and out, and different classrooms and different students come in and out. So there might be something you didn't hear or something you want a clarification on, or if you might just say, well, now why did y'all do A, B, and C? This is the space, let's get it on now because it's community, baby. So, anybody, question, comment, and Jessica, you don't have to leave, you're here, you're part of this. So, okay, good. So we want to just make sure, all right, so we knew you guys were gonna do that. I know, I said we knew you guys were gonna do that, so that's why we did some feeder questions, So go ahead, Ms. Kim.
I've just been so impressed with y'all's work because we've been hearing from students and from people in the community about, like you guys are saying, so many of us are one paycheck away from being homeless ourselves. We're very insecure, and there hasn't been, the mayor has been doing things like building little houses or saying people can sleep in their cars at night. And we know that's not a real solution. So when you all actually took a home, like we all deserve a home, that was just meant so much to me and so many people of Oakland that we saw turning out to support you all. So I wanted to ask two questions. One, how did you find out that that house was owned by, because I think it's really important that that was not just a house that one family owned, mom and pop. That's owned by a huge corporate landlord that owns like 30 properties, I think, in Oakland or something crazy like that. So how did you find out that that house was owned by a corporate landlord? And then, like, what's going on now? My understanding is that they were gonna sell the house to you or to the land trust. So those are my two questions.
Okay, so the community, doing outreach and being in our communities, when we talk about the homeless crisis, we ask folks that own houses, and they're like, well, this house is vacant. I think on the corner where the Magnolia House is, if you look right across, there's 3 vacant properties, just on that corner. With that house, it's 4 on one corner. And it was an eyesore on the block. And then doing a little research, we saw that it was owned by a corporation. And that's why that was the house we chose, because we wanted to highlight the speculation in Oakland, and we want speculators out of Oakland. What was the second question?
What about the community land trust? How's that go? What is the community land trust?
Yes.
They gonna,
Yeah, the Oakland Community Land Trust, I don't know if it was founded last year, maybe 3 years ago. I just got back in April, but I know that, I think it's 14 million, it's up to 14 million a year, and it's a board that is committed to keeping land permanently affordable. So they have this fund through the city council where they're able to purchase homes for folks so they can stay in the community. So we're in negotiation with Wedgwood, but we're still gonna have to put some pressure on Wedgwood and on our mayor of Oakland who has been absent to win this home. So we are still in negotiation with Wedgwood.
okay. Ethel, did you have another?
Yeah, so some of the questions that come up sometimes from the students is, well, so what happens when you can't pay your rent? So we're talking about people at the farthest end who might already be in crisis on the streets or in shelters or some combination. What happens when you can't pay your rent? What choices, what advice do you then give to maybe some of our students' families who are trying to catch up with these skyrocketing rents that they keep doing? What do you ladies advise? Nico, hi.
Well, I'm also organizer and ACE for the Black Housing Union, and if folks are facing like a rent increase, or they need help with back mortgage payments, ACE in Central. Okay, can you hear me now? Okay. So ACE, Alliance of California for Community Empowerment, has resources for folks who are struggling, and we have free legal support. If you're facing slumlord conditions, a wrongful rent increase, harassment, any kind of intimidation by your landlord, we have resources for free legal help, but we also organize around rights. So right now we have folks on rent strike on 29th in East Oakland, and they're actually gonna have a rally on Thursday at 6:30 p.m. if you all wanna come out for that, because that's something that ACE is doing. So we not only help with the free legal services, but we organize ourselves and we come out and support for our members.
Where's the rally?
It's gonna be on 29th Ave. And if you go on aceaction.org or our Facebook page, it'll be, all of the details will be on there.
We want to play a video. Are people aware that there is this tenant strike? A whole building of workers are on strike